Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I told you I was going to do a driving impressions video and, kind of talk about the driving dynamics of this car and what it's like to drive one. So I figured, why wait? Let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, a lot of you probably want to know about acceleration because it's the V8. Of course, this is not the CLK 55 AMG. That would be the more performance-oriented version. But the CLK 430 is plenty. If you would ask me to describe the acceleration in one word, I would say adequate. It's not a rocket, but it's plenty. You're not going to want to go out and street race this thing, but you are also not going to be wanting for more power, overtaking other cars and passing lanes and whatnot. It's plenty. It's adequate. It feels very similar to my girlfriend's 2015 E350, which makes a little bit more horsepower than this, even as a V6, but modern technology, right? But it's a little bit heavier too, so acceleration's similar between the two. Steering is pretty heavy for a Mercedes. Typically I'm used to E-classes, and of course our 250S, our 1966 250S, and they all have a little bit more assistance than this does. The weight of this steering at low speeds kind of reminds me of an E39 BMW, honestly. Now, I'm not saying that the steering throughout its range, the steering feel reminds me of the E39. The E39 BMW has the best steering feel that I have ever experienced in any car ever. So I'm just saying the weight, BMW E39 is a little heavy at low speeds, but the precision and everything is a little different. But it's good. It's not bad. I wouldn't complain about it. It's not over assisted, that's for sure. You do get a lot of steering feel with this car. The brakes are wonderful. That's kind of a Mercedes thing for me. The brakes always feel right. Not too much or too little pedal effort or pedal travel. Everything feels great with the brakes. The suspension in this car was kind of surprisingly firm. But I probably should have expected that because it's a sport coupe. It's I don't know if you want to call it a grand touring car, but it's a two-door V8 sportier vehicle. And one thing I wanted to talk about, the CLK in this first gen was a little bit of a mutt. You see it and you think, well, it's a two-door W210 E-Class. That's all it is. That's not true. It's actually a mutt. It's a W202 C-Class chassis. The platform is from the W202 C-Class, and with obvious massaging done to the W210 E-Class sheet metal. So while the headlight design and even the front of the roof line and some things can really mimic the W210, but in a coupe, it really is its own car. There's nothing else like it, because it's obviously different than a W202 C-Class, even though it's on the same platform. It's obviously different than a W210 E-Class, even though the sheet metal looks similar, headlights are the same, whatever. But it is its own chassis. It is its own car, just kind of borrowed parts from other Mercedes products. But yeah, so it's a great driving car. When you put everything together, the car drives great. 41-year-old me would probably appreciate a little bit more comfort in the ride, a little more suspension travel, a little softer suspension, but that's okay. That's what this car was kind of made for. That it's like I said, it's kind of a sportier, it's a two-door sport coupe, so they built it obviously with cornering in mind and handling and what have you. So that's okay. It doesn't ride poorly, just a little on the firm side. I'll tell you, 30-year-old me, 25-year-old me, this driving experience of this car would have been perfect. But as I age, I appreciate comfort more. I appreciate a soft suspension more. I don't throw cars into corners and stuff like maybe I once did. I don't go out and do silly things in cars like maybe I once did. So as far as handling and stuff like that, you know, it doesn't do a whole lot for me anymore. I had a C5 Vet, you know, several years ago, and the ride, honestly, the suspension, the ride might be a little bit softer than that, but it's comparable. If you've ever ridden in a C5 Corvette that's not lowered, because they're hard to find, everybody's lowered their C5 Corvette, they're pretty comfortable. They really are. And the firmness of this ride, not the driving dynamics or anything, but the firmness of this ride is comparable to that. That's it. The car drives wonderfully. As I said, it is a little on the firm side. The steering is a little on the heavier side. That's all on purpose. They weren't cheaping out. They weren't screwing up. This is what they designed this car to do. And it does handle well. It's very, very crisp. It's very accurate. But it's still comfortable. It's still quiet. One thing I noticed about Mercedes in this era and newer, their tires started to get wider, and that creates a little bit more road noise. The 124 doesn't have that problem, but the W124 has a very narrow tire. My E550 in 2011 had the same problem, if you want to call it a problem. Now, part of the issue is you don't have much wind noise. You know, we're on the highway right now, and you can hear there's just not a whole lot of wind noise. So when the wind noise is that muted, you're going to get in a little bit of that road noise. You can hear it better because the wind noise is so muted. But that's kind of a product of having a bigger, wider tire, and sportier cars just do, because they're built with handling in mind. So, but yeah, that's it. I thought I'd go ahead and knock this video out. Why wait? We'll just go ahead and get into it and tell you guys how I feel about driving this. So far, so good. I really enjoy it. So join me next time, and until then, have a great day.